Thunder rumbles. Lightning cracks across a dark sky. Every day, the earth unleashes raw, untamed power. From the eerie calm before a storm to the chaos that follows, few things remind us of our vulnerability more than violent weather. Caught in the right moment, storms become more than just forecasts. They become unforgettable moments of survival, destruction, and awe. These are the most shocking storm moments ever captured on camera. It began like any other spring afternoon in the town of Moore, Oklahoma. Children played in yards, oblivious to the gathering clouds above. But by evening, the skies darkened into a deep, menacing grey. A stillness fell over the land, broken only by the rustling of leaves in the rising wind. What came next was the stuff of nightmares. A massive EF5 tornado, a swirling vortex of unimaginable power formed with winds exceeding 200 miles per hour. It wasn't just moving, it was devouring everything in its path. On May 20th, 2013, this monster carved a path nearly 17 miles long and over a mile wide, leaving a scar of devastation across the landscape. Homes were ripped from their foundations, reduced to splintered wood and scattered belongings. Schools, once sanctuaries of learning, were flattened, their brick and mortar no match for the tornado's wrath. Cars, symbols of our modern world, were hurled through the air like toys, their metal frames twisted and broken upon impact. Eyewitness videos, shaky and filled with the roar of the wind, show families running for cover, their faces etched with terror, desperate to find shelter from the unrelenting storm. Entire neighborhoods, once vibrant with life, vanished in minutes, leaving behind only empty foundations and a deafening silence. In the heart of Siberia, in the bustling city of Novosibirsk, a quiet summer day took a terrifying turn, a moment forever etched in the memory of a dashcam. A driver, perhaps lost in thought, cruises down a highway, the asphalt ribboning ahead under a grey, unsettled sky. Raindrops begin to fall, a gentle drumming against the windshield, a prelude to the fury to come. Then, without warning, in a heartbeat, a blinding bolt of lightning, a jagged spear of pure energy, strikes the car directly. The screen is flooded with white light, a searing flash that illuminates the stark reality of nature's power. The entire vehicle, a cocoon of metal and glass, shakes violently, buffeted by the raw force of the strike. Smoke, acrid and smelling of ozone, begins to rise from beneath the hood, a testament to the intense heat generated by the lightning. Sparks, like miniature fireworks, fly from the car's electrical system, a chaotic display of energy unleashed. Miraculously, against all odds, the driver and passengers survived, their lives spared by a hair's breadth, but the vehicle, once a symbol of mobility and freedom, was completely disabled. Its electrical system fried, its metal frame bearing the scars of the strike. Nestled in a valley, the quaint historic town of Ellicott City, Maryland, had weathered its share of storms. Its brick buildings and cobblestone streets had stood for centuries, seemingly impervious to the ravages of time and nature. But nothing could have prepared it for the deluge that arrived on July 30th, 2016. Within just 2 hours, the heavens opened, unleashing a torrent of biblical proportions. Over 6 inches of rain, a month's worth of precipitation, fell in a relentless downpour, transforming the peaceful, meandering Patapsco River into a raging torrent. Video footage from the heart of downtown Ellicott City shows the horror unfolding in real time. A peaceful street, lined with shops and restaurants, transforms in the blink of an eye into a raging river. Cars, caught in the rising tide, are swept away like toys in a bathtub, their horns blaring in a futile attempt to warn others of the impending danger. Storefronts, once bustling with life, collapse under the weight of the torrent, their windows shattering, their merchandise swept away by the relentless current. Residents, caught off guard by the speed and ferocity of the flood, scramble to higher ground, their faces etched with fear and disbelief. Chapter 4. On September 1st, 2019, the serene beauty of the Bahamas, a paradise of turquoise waters and swaying palm trees, was shattered by the arrival of Hurricane Dorian, a storm of unprecedented fury. It made landfall in the Abaco Islands as a Category 5 hurricane, the highest and most dangerous classification on the Saffir-Simpson scale, its winds whipping at a staggering 185 miles per hour. What made Dorian truly terrifying wasn't just its raw power, but its agonizingly slow movement. It stalled, hovering over Grand Bahama Island for nearly 48 hours, like a predator savoring its prey. Hour after hour, it unleashed its full fury. Relentless wind, driving rain, and a storm surge that swallowed entire communities. People, trapped in their homes, climbed to rooftops to escape the rising water, their desperate cries for help swallowed by the roar of the wind. Emergency calls, pleas for rescue went unanswered, as even first responders were overwhelmed by the scale of the disaster. Shocking footage captured on cell phones and drones shows the full extent of Dorian's wrath. Waves, towering walls of water, crash through buildings, reducing them to rubble. Trees, stripped bare of their leaves, stand like skeletal sentinels against the onslaught. And houses, once symbols of security and comfort, are flattened like cardboard, their contents scattered to the wind. Chapter 5 June, in Guadalajara, Mexico, is a time for vibrant colors, sizzling street food, and the joyous rhythms of life. The air is thick with humidity, a prelude to the rainy season. But in 2019, nature had a different kind of downpour in mind. A summer hailstorm of extraordinary proportions. The day began like any other, the sun beating down on the city with its usual intensity. But as afternoon approached, the skies darkened, not with the usual monsoon clouds, but with a strange greenish-yellow hue. And then, without warning, the heavens opened, unleashing not rain but hail, a torrent of ice that would transform the city into a surreal winter wonderland. Within minutes, Guadalajara was buried under a blanket of hail, some hailstones the size of golf balls, others as large as grapefruits. Streets, once bustling with pedestrians and vendors, were transformed into rivers of slush and ice, the hail piling up so high that cars were completely submerged. Footage captured by stunned residents shows a city caught off guard, its summer rhythm disrupted by a freakish act of nature. People, caught in shorts and sandals, wade through knee-deep hail, their faces a mixture of shock and amusement. Cars, their windshields shattered by the relentless barrage, sit abandoned, their drivers having long since given up on reaching their destinations. Chapter 6. The warm waters off the coast of Florida are a haven for marine life, a playground for boaters, and a source of endless fascination for those who live along its shores. But on a seemingly ordinary afternoon in July 2022, the Gulf of Mexico put on a display of both beauty and power, a spectacle that would leave witnesses awestruck and terrified. Tourists, relaxing on the white sand beaches, enjoying the sun and the gentle sea breeze, looked up to see a sight more common in meteorological textbooks than in real life. Not one, but two waterspouts, swirling columns of water and air, dancing in eerie synchronicity over the open water. As these twin funnels of nature's fury drew closer to the shore, their dance became more frantic, their movements more erratic. Beachgoers, their initial awe turning to fear, watched as the waterspouts, now clearly visible against the backdrop of the blue sky, began to churn the water below, tossing debris and sea spray hundreds of feet into the air. Some, mesmerized by the spectacle, continued to film, their smartphones capturing the raw power of nature on display. Others, realizing the potential danger, ran for shelter, their cries of alarm echoing along the beach. The twin waterspouts, thankfully, did not make landfall, but their proximity to the shore was a stark reminder that even in paradise, nature's fury can erupt without warning. The American Midwest, a land of vast prairies, fertile farmlands, and resilient people, is no stranger to severe weather. But on August 10, 2020, a storm of extraordinary power, a meteorological phenomenon known as a derecho, tore across the heartland, leaving behind a path of destruction that would take months to repair and years to forget. It began in eastern Nebraska, a line of thunderstorms, seemingly innocuous at first, gathering strength from the warm, humid air that blanketed the region. But as the day wore on, these storms merged and intensified, forming a massive, fast-moving complex that would come to be known as the 2020 Midwest derecho. Over the next 14 hours, this meteorological juggernaut tore across Iowa, Illinois, and Indiana, its winds reaching hurricane strength, with gusts exceeding 110 miles per hour. Unlike tornadoes, which are localized and relatively short-lived, the derecho unleashed its fury over a vast area, its path of destruction stretching over 700 miles long and 100 miles wide. Entire farms, generations of hard work and dreams, were flattened in seconds, their crops shredded, their buildings reduced to rubble. Trees, some over 100 years old, were snapped like twigs, their roots ripped from the ground by the unrelenting wind. And in cities and towns across the region, the derecho left its mark, ripping roofs off homes, downing power lines, and shattering windows. Chapter 8, Monster Dust Storm Phoenix, Arizona, 2011. Phoenix, Arizona, a city sculpted from the Sonoran Desert, a testament to human resilience in the face of scorching heat and arid landscapes, is no stranger to dust storms. But on July 5, 2011, a monstrous haboob, a wall of dust and fury unlike anything seen before, swept across the valley, transforming the familiar cityscape into an alien landscape. It began as a rumble in the distance, a darkening of the sky on the horizon, a sign that nature was about to unleash its fury. Then it appeared, a massive wall of dust stretching over 100 miles wide and towering 5,000 feet high, advancing relentlessly towards the city. Like a scene from a disaster movie, this behemoth of dust and wind swallowed everything in its path. Highways, normally bustling with traffic, were instantly transformed into ghost roads, the vehicles on them disappearing into the swirling brown maelstrom. Buildings, once symbols of human ingenuity and progress, were dwarfed by the sheer scale of the dust storm. Their windows rattling, their foundations shaken to the core. Visibility dropped to near zero in a matter of minutes, the air thick with dust and the smell of parched earth. Planes caught in the maelstrom were forced to make emergency landings, their pilots blinded by the swirling dust. Traffic came to a standstill, drivers pulling over to the side of the road, their headlights useless against the impenetrable darkness. Chapter 9. Freak Snowstorm Traps, Drivers, Buffalo, New York, 2022. Buffalo, New York, a city hardened by lake-effect snow and brutal winters, a place where residents take pride in their ability to withstand nature's icy grip, found itself facing an unprecedented foe during the Christmas blizzard of 2022. What began as a typical winter storm, a familiar dance of snowflakes and wind, quickly escalated into a whiteout nightmare, a blizzard for the record books. Over 4 feet of snow, driven by howling winds and fueled by moisture from the relatively warm waters of Lake Erie, fell in just a couple of days, burying the city under a thick blanket of white. Roads, once familiar arteries of commerce and connection, disappeared under drifts taller than cars, transformed into treacherous traps for unsuspecting drivers. Emergency services, stretched thin by the scale of the storm, struggled to respond to calls for help, their vehicles often becoming stuck in the snowdrifts, their efforts hampered by the relentless blizzard conditions. Residents, trapped in their homes, watched in horror as the snow piled up outside their windows, the wind howling like a banshee, the temperature plummeting to dangerous lows. Surveillance footage and cell phone videos, shared widely on social media, documented the harrowing experiences of those caught in the storm's grip. Cars buried under mountains of snow, their occupants trapped inside, their windows frosted over, their hopes dwindling with each passing hour. People bundled in layers of clothing, their faces barely visible beneath hats and scarves, struggled to shovel their way to safety, their movements slow and laborious, their breath forming icy clouds in the frigid air. Chapter 10. Supercell Explosion over Argentina, 2018. In December 2018, the skies over Cordoba, Argentina, a region known for its rolling hills and fertile plains, erupted with a display of meteorological power that captivated storm chasers and meteorologists around the world. A supercell thunderstorm, a behemoth of swirling clouds and violent updrafts, formed with breathtaking speed, its towering presence dominating the horizon, casting an eerie glow on the landscape below. Satellite imagery captured the storm's evolution, revealing its intricate structure. A rotating updraft, the engine driving the storm's fury, surrounded by a swirling mass of clouds, some towering thousands of feet into the atmosphere, their shapes constantly shifting, morphing from menacing anvils to ethereal mammatus clouds, resembling giant cotton balls suspended in the sky. On the ground, storm chasers, their vehicles equipped with cameras and sensors, tracked the supercell's every move, their lenses capturing the storm's raw beauty and power in stunning detail. The sky, normally a serene blue, took on an otherworldly green hue, the air thick with electricity, the silence punctuated by the rumble of distant thunder, a prelude to the fury to come. As the supercell moved across the landscape, it unleashed its arsenal of meteorological weapons. Hailstones, some the size of tennis balls, pelted the ground with bone-jarring force, their impact audible even over the roar of the wind. Lightning, bolts of raw energy crackled across the sky, illuminating the storm's swirling underbelly, their frequency increasing as the storm reached its peak intensity. Outro Earth's untamed fury. Storms have the power to mesmerize us, to humble us, and to terrify us. Caught on camera, they remind us that despite all our technology and planning, we are still very much at the mercy of the elements. These were just a few of the most shocking storm moments ever recorded, but they are happening more often and getting more intense. As the planet warms, driven by human activity, weather patterns are shifting, becoming more extreme and unpredictable. The delicate balance of nature is being disrupted, and the consequences are all around us. More intense storms, more frequent floods, more widespread droughts. The next storm, the next flood, the next heatwave. These are not just abstract threats, they are realities we must confront. The question is, will we be ready when it comes? Will we heed the warnings, adapt to the changing climate, and build a more resilient future? The choice is ours, and the time to act is now.